was able to claim my citizenship through my grandfather. And we went through the whole process, and here we are, living in Lucca and loving every minute of it.
Absolutely. We decided once we were able to get citizenship, we were going to give a gift to one another and spend a year traveling throughout Italy looking for our perfect Italian town. Here we are living our best lives in Lucca.
The hardest thing, though, was picking that perfect Italian town because there are so many of them.
Yeah.
We started very simply by what are our needs. You know, we weren't going to have a car, so we need a good train/bus line to get around it. We lived while we were in Italy for a year in hill towns, and we lived in flat towns, and flat towns were much better. Bicycle friendly, walking friendly. I didn't feel like a billy goat going up 17,000 feet. You know, it just, what that's that. Let's see what else. We had to have
a grocery store walkable distance, or at least on a bicycle. And if possible, a little English spoken, because we're still learning Italian 4 years into this adventure. And so, you know, we didn't want to feel isolated by not having some English spoken. So that was our basic criteria. And Lucca fit all the bills for us.
It just checked off all the boxes. It really did.
We're asked several questions over and over by readers, by blog subscribers. And one of the questions is always, what's happening in Rome, or what's happening in Lucca in May, in October? And so it's the festivals and traditions that I said to Gary, what happens if we take that knowledge that we have and put it into a guidebook? It was information that people kept asking for that made us decide to change hats and write a guidebook completely out of our wheelhouse.
Still describing the towns a little bit, but, you know, more about the holidays and what's celebrated.
The food you can expect in the wine.
Typical foods and wines, yes.
How to get there, which we thought was important. And so it was just one of those things. We took a shot and said, let's share this knowledge. And it's been so well received. We have some different towns that people may not have heard of, you know. So obviously Lucca's in the book, and the chapter's a little longer than we probably would have liked. And Florence, and, you know, the main things, you know, Bagni di Lucca. You know, a lot of people don't know of that. And Certaldo was a charming medieval town.
The lower part of the town is modernized. The upper part of Certaldo is the old city, and it's beautiful.
So there's towns like Grosseto. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, you know, those are incredible towns. So what else, Gary? San Miniato. I mean, you know, it's a town that we've come to love because one of our favorite wineries is there. And so we go every year to see Becconcini Winery, and they're in San Miniato. And so that's a favorite of ours.
I mean, Vinci was a gorgeous little hilltop town.
Gosh, we need to go back. There's so many we need to go back to. But it's this kind of, what do I want to say? Our love for these towns that we thought we'd share and create some insight. It's just one of those things that we're always sharing information, obviously.
I mean, well, you know what I think is really neat about it is, you know, we all know of the big cities and things like that, but you don't experience the real Italy when you're in those big cities. You know, you're in Naples, you know, Bari a little bit, but when you go to these towns, so now you guys drove all around, but a lot of people, especially, you know, me, I'm not into driving anymore. Are these, a lot of these places easy to get to by train?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we do. We will rent a car when we need it, you know, on occasion. And it does make things easier for some of these out of the way towns. But a lot of places, and we mention it in the section on navigating your way, is you take the train and then there is a bus or there is a taxi, or it's kind of walkable to the main city. But if you do your research ahead of time, I always tell everybody, spontaneity is nice, but spontaneity, see, I didn't even have vino yet. But it's good to be prepared.
You have 31 cities in the book. If you were going to recommend, let's say 5 to people to go to, what would you pick?
Okay, Lucca.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I will.
No.
I would definitely, Lucca is overlooked. It's always been overlooked. People that come to, especially on cruises, they come into Livorno, and there's day trips to Pisa and Florence. And, sometimes there's an extra stop for Lucca. Now, I don't want everybody coming to Lucca because, as it is, we have a lot of touristas, but it's charming. I can't say enough about this town. My favorite town, actually, in Tuscany, if I exclude Lucca, is Volterra. And it's still one of my favorites. I think Vinci, like Gary said, was a surprise. I was surprised how charming it was. And no, Leonardo was not born there. He was born just outside. But I think Panzano, I'm gonna take up all my
okay.
Panzano is, of course, where Dario, the butcher, the famous macelleria.
Dario Cecchini.
See. Okay. What else is what would be?
I love Montepulciano.
Okay, I do too.
It's just something about that town. It's a hill town, so it's a little tough to get around, especially if you're older and, knee and hip problems. But there's something about that town that I love. It just, well, I guess the wine has something to do with it. But anyway.
That always has something to do with it, right?
Yeah, so it's just, especially for Gary, Bob.
It's just a town that you really do feel like they're happy to see you. Okay?
My other thing would be Isola de Elba. And we have a special connection there because our bar here in Lucca, our Cheers, so to speak, Vinarchia, they have a sister bar now in Isola de Elba.
Porta Azzurro.
Verano. It's just, we went there to support them with friends for their opening a couple of years ago. And it's gorgeous there. It's an island that different than Capri, different than, it's a Tuscan island. And I think a lot of people should visit it. It's easy to get to on a ferry and
yeah, and the bus system that takes you from the ports to the other side of the island, there's transportation, so that's no problem. Let's see, Chitaldo was a favorite, a nice place to go to. I also love Cortona.
Who doesn't?
Forget about the fact that it's the book Under the Tuscan Sun, which the movie I've seen probably 50 times now. It's one of my favorites. I still have not found the home Ramasole, but I'm going to go back and search. I swear, I'm going to get there.
So what's the weather going to be like in May? What do I need to pack?
May,
check the book.
Check the book.
May starts, you start getting into your low 80s.
Yeah, it's nice.
Even by you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's nice.
There's not much of a temperature differential from Sicily up to the Alps.
Really?
Believe it or not, there's not that much of a difference. Everybody thinks, you go from the Mediterranean or the Caribbean up to Maine.
Yeah.
There's in wintertime, there's maybe a 5 to 7 degree differential. In the summertime, there might be a 10 to 12.
Yeah.
But it's not that different.
Yeah. It's, and that we do have a section in the book on the seasons. So, what to pack, things like that, what to be aware of. Train travel, there's a section in there. I find so many people are afraid to travel by train. And oh my gosh, it's the best way to travel.
Yes, I agree.
And other than, certain little things of like validating a ticket if you're on a local line, we decided to put a chapter in here just because that's another topic that we always seem to get questions on.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So before we go, where can people find the books and why don't you give us how they can find your blog?
So the blog is easy. It's ouritalianjourney.com. The first book is Our Italian Journey. We were very creative. Second book is When Your Heart Finds Its Home. And again, those are both memoirs. Our new guidebook, that's not traditional by any means, is Tuscany Treasures, A Journey Through 31 Towns. I will give you an inside scoop. We are now working on Umbria, because this one was so well received. We're using the same format and going to include the same information.
You know, when you do the Umbria book, we'll have to do this again, but we'll do it for every region that you do. So we'll just keep coming back.
We'll see how long we last.
But thanks again for being here. Really appreciate it, and some really good advice for everybody.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.